Okay, moving on. We are moving on to a new topic, and the topic today is senses.
Senses.
Like
as
you ain't got no sense.
As in human, the 5 basic senses. And what are they?
Sight,
smell, taste,
hearing, touch.
Eyesight and touch.
Sight.
Sight and touch.
Yeah.
Right. So, let me just read all the questions here, because we end up reading the first one and then we never get to the other ones, or randomly. Is there a 6-inch? Is there a
6-inch sense?
It's my eyes. They look like 2 little hyphens.
Right.
Is there a 6th sense? Well, some say there is, which is that Twilight Zone. Yeah.
That's all intuition.
Intuition. Okay. Spiritual thing. That's kind of a spiritual thing. At what age do we develop these different senses? Or do we have them from birth? Do other species have other senses? If we lose one sense, does that make the others more sensitive? That's a good question. Why do we have senses? Well, can we tackle these out of order, or do we have to follow the order?
There's no order.
There's no order to them.
There's nobody here to call us to order.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. If you lose one sense, do you get another sense stronger? And I think you do, but that's called compensation. It's called compensation in psychology. As a person gets older, let's say a guy's a pretty good golfer, but as he gets older, he changes his stance because his body is weaker. He's not as strong in his hips and all this, so he'll change his position a little bit, and you'll see a lot of old golfers will start standing. They're not standing correctly. That's because they're compensating to hit the ball further.
Do you think we have the power to increase or decrease our senses?
Yeah. If you lose your sight, then you begin to compensate by smell, other ways of detecting where you are. And those, when you use it, if you don't use it, you lose it. So the more you use it, the stronger that sense gets.
Well, I think it's more you rely on those other senses more. I don't think.
Well, you rely on them, but
I don't think you're making them stronger.
Yeah, they get stronger. A person's sense of hearing, for example. Now we all listen to hearing. I can tell a person's footsteps that I know. I can tell my wife's footstep coming down the hallway. Or when Cameron comes in the room, I can tell it's him. And if you couldn't see, then you would rely stronger on that. You would learn to trust those hearing judgments.
Yeah, I know that.
It would become more sensitive.
I don't think it becomes more sensitive. You just rely on it more. So it seems like it's more sensitive because you're falling onto that other sense that you relied on your sight before, and so now you have to rely on your smell or hearing. And
doesn't that make it stronger?
No, not necessarily. Your strength of hearing and sight and taste and everything is all physical. It's not a mental thing.
Well, I don't mean that in the sense that it makes your hearing better, but it makes your awareness keener.
Heightened awareness. Focused on one of the other senses.
So you're listening better. Because some people, that my wife says you don't listen. All right, but if listening was if I lost my sight, I would listen better because it would be more critical that I hear, and my listening skills would develop and get better. Not that my hearing would get better, but my listening skills would get better.
I have to.
You don't agree with that?
I don't agree with that.
I don't understand why you wouldn't agree with that.
Because your sense of speech will still be operational.
What does speech got to do with it?
Because you're saying you can't. Well, you lost your sight, but you still hear. You can still hear yourself talking, and that's a lot of times our.
Hey, there's Susan.
Come on in, Susan. We're talking about the 5 senses.
You want some gumbo?
Yeah.
Melissa's fixing to go get some. It's $5 for a 16-ounce cup.
Oh,
They got extra.
where is that at?
Some lady she orders food from.
Huh.
She cooks pretty good.
We're in the middle of recording. I'll bypass it today. So.
You want some?
I don't think so. No, Gwen will have something fixed when I get home.
Oh, well, lucky.
She'll get her feelings hurt.
I don't have a Gwen.
It sounds
Well,
good.
you need to get one. What's the matter? Can't you find a man?
I need it. I need it.
Get an old man. Don't look for looks no more.
No, that was our baby sister interrupting our flow here, but we're glad she did because she offered us some chili or gumbo.
Gumbo.
We didn't, either one of us, take her up on it as you witnessed, but I'm sure it was good.
Hey,
Yeah.
Sue. How much is the gumbo?
$5 for a quart, she said.
Huh?
Here, get Philip a bowl of gumbo.
Oh, well, I already told her to. Hold on. She had to know right away. Philip does.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me
Okay.
go give her money.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think you're going on the assumption that that's another movie material thing about you have better hearing if you lose your sight, or you have better something if you lose one sense. I think a lot of that is made up for the movies.
Yeah, but that's really. But I still contend that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What about if you're right-handed and you lose your right arm? Does your left arm get stronger?
You don't get stronger, but you're able to use it. You learn to use it. You learn to use
Wouldn't you describe that as stronger though? I'm not necessarily muscle-wise, although it probably would get stronger muscle-wise. If you lost your legs, you notice a guy in a wheelchair that can't use his legs. He's always lifting it. These guys will have big old muscled-up arms.
Well, yeah, but
Don't they get stronger?
Well, you're getting away from the basic five senses. The senses are.
Well, that was a question regarding that, though. If you lose one, does the other one get stronger? That was the question.
They don't have the same application as the use of right and left hand, or using your legs instead of your arms.
I think so. I think it does. But anyway, we can leave that one. I can see we're not going to agree.
Yeah.
But
well, I do think that we do rely on our other senses more, and in that way, we
you
learn.
just want to say it a different way, don't you?
No, I don't think it makes that sense. I don't think, like right now, if I blindfolded myself and I had to rely, I didn't lose the sense of sight, but if I blindfold myself, I have to rely on touch.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did that every day, all the time, I would learn to rely on the touch.
So you could say then that your sense of touch would be becoming stronger.
No, it doesn't become stronger. It's always the same strength. It's just you rely on it more.
But you're associating strength with muscle. I'm associating strength with improvement.
No,
change and improvement.
I'm
stronger.
I'm talking about strength as far as sensitivity. The sensitivity of your taste or your hearing or your smell. The sensitivity I think is all the same.
Well, when you say the sensitivity, let's say that you have a class of students, and some of them pay attention and some of them don't. So the ones who pay attention are going to have a higher sensitivity to the message you're conveying.
Yeah.
If they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you describe that as their
That's
ability to pay attention is stronger than the other one?
That's a psychological measure, though. That's not.
Well, it doesn't really matter, though. I mean, in abstract things, you are talking about psychological, not necessarily physical strength.
Your senses are all physical. That's a physical attribute.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, there could be an element there that you're not considering.
Your sight takes in light, and it goes into the portion of the brain that transmits, changes where you can view the pictures.
Well, but
taste or
your ability to pay attention, let's say, going back to that, is that affected by your general attitude?
Your attitude and your aptitude. You're
talking. Okay, now you're relating more to aptitude is the constructive principle there in terms of physical things, physicality, but attitude is more of an abstract thing. If you think you already know it all, you don't pay attention to anything else. But if you have the attitude that I have much to learn, then you pay attention more. That's not. I would call that your ability to pay attention become stronger the more that you do.
Just a greater interest, maybe.
But that would be an element, a greater interest.
Yeah.
I would describe that as an element of strong.
You're getting off of the concept for the discussion is on the senses, the 5 senses. It's not. We're not talking about the ability to pay attention, unless you're talking about if a guy's blind, does he hear the instructor better? Does he pay more attention to the instructor if he's blind? He can't read the book. Well, yeah, he does. That sense is stronger for him because he knows he has to rely on it. But he didn't change the attenuation. He didn't change the ability.
No, I specified that I'm not saying that his ears are better.
Yeah.
But by his ability to pay attention, he increases dramatically what he's taking in.
Yeah.
So his ability to listen.
But he has to train himself. If you lose one sense like vision, then you're into this pit where you got to learn to climb out. You got to learn how to use the other senses better.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, now that we cleared that up,
I'll defer on that. Only so that we can move on.
Do other species have senses?
Oh, definitely.
I want to know sight and dog smell.
Well, a dog operates in their hearing and their smelling on a whole different. It's like with the photography and stuff. The light now. There's certain light that the human eye cannot perceive. We don't see it, but that doesn't mean a whale or somebody else or a bird might not perceive those things. Like an eagle flying from the sky, he can look down there and see
He's a sharp eye. He's got an eagle eye.
A flea. He's got an eagle eye, right?
Yeah.
Just because we don't see it don't mean it's not there.
Right.
So that's a physical thing. Dogs also have that with their smelling. They can smell lots more things than we can.
A much higher sense of smell than humans do.
That's why they get bothered sometimes by sounds and by smells that we don't hear. The dog can practically smell bad weather coming or something, He can he can perceive things that we don't.
Yeah, well, dogs are used quite a bit for their sense of smell in detecting drugs or finding dead people or different reasons.
They can also are used for medical purposes. A dog, it's been found that dogs can sniff cancer.
Oh, they can detect
diseases. Yeah, they can sniff certain changes in the smell of your body.
Yeah. Well,
if they're trained to, since the dog can't articulate what he's hearing, they would have to support that with evidence and the dog's behavior.
You'd have to have human training and intervention to access that smell ability. In other words, if they come up to you and the dog walks in and they smell the cancer, that's no different for them unless they're trained to point on that, to cue on that. Oh, roof, roof, and raise up one paw if it's cancer, or something like
that. Dogs have different ways. Like my dog, if she's in the house and she wants to go outside, what does a dog generally do when they want to go outside? They go to the door and bark, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Or sometimes they just act kind of funny and you have to act. My dog will paw you. She'll come, if I'm in the bed, she'll come and jump up on the bed with both feet and paw me like that.
To go outside?
To go outside. And if I don't pay attention to her, if I'm like half asleep, which that happened one time, I didn't blame the dog because I didn't get up and let her out.
Yeah, they'll go find a corner or somewhere.
They'll go find a corner if they got to go. I had fed her some scraps that night and it upset her stomach, so it really wasn't her fault. But she did try to wake me up. But most dogs will go to the door and look at you and bark. Now, my cat used to go to the door and meow. And it was a different kind of meow. Meow, meow. She wanted something.
Well, whatever senses we have, whatever species, are we born with those senses? Are we born with the sense, like when we're tiny little babies fresh out of the womb, do we have hearing and taste and smell and sight when we're born, or is that developed?
We are born with it, but it develops. It gets stronger as we learn how to interpret it.
I know little babies eat that baby food. It tastes horrible. You know,
But their taste is not as. They wouldn't eat some of that crap if they. Them peas, they would never eat them peas if they
right.
had
They learn. They learn
sophisticated taste.
their taste preferences.
But no, they have those senses, but they do have to develop their interpretation of it. They have to be able to interpret it, whether it's good or bad. And that's why people, when we feed our kids, which fruit do the babies like the best? All babies.
Bananas.
Bananas. Why?
It's soft.
Soft, and well, most of it's soft,
Sweet.
but it's sweet, right?
They ain't gonna eat no without teeth. They're not gonna eat pears and apples.
No.
Unless it's smashed up like applesauce.
No. But they like the sweet stuff. They like the fruit stuff better. And then we start giving them, to keep them pacified, we give them some Kool-Aid, put some sugar in it, or
Put a little honey on the pacifier or something.
sweeten it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
But they have to interpret that. If you never gave them any sweet stuff, or a lot of people do raise their children that way, they give them very little cookies. Poor children. They never get no cookies or anything. So
Well,
that is so cruel. Yeah.
I was. It reminds me of a family I read about years ago. I was reading about this family who were missionaries, and they had their children in some primitive culture in South America or Indonesia or somewhere, and they raised their children from babies, and those kids came up as babies to eat bugs and worms and all sorts of stuff that we wouldn't normally eat, and they would hone that. The parents took advantage of that opportunity, and they exposed them to all sorts of foods that they would eat. And so when they came back to civilization and started eating other things, they liked it better. But they were open to eating anything. They would still eat a worm. And, I remember it. Oh, yeah, those are good. And they would still eat things that we just find despicable, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why your wife, for example, in the Philippines, you've had to get used to some of their cuisine.
Oh, yeah, some of their food is just
like those chicken legs, and she loves those chicken feet.
Well, she loves
they probably do taste good. I just can't think about eating them.
Well, it's because she grew up with that culture and that food regimen and those kinds of foods. And
yeah,
there's still some things in the Philippines that she doesn't like, you know.
And then people over in Louisiana too, they'll eat anything.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's what you're raised to like, I think.
But what were we talking about? We were talking about our senses. Yeah. Okay, we're still within the realm. We have our sight. We have our sense of smell.
Do other animals have other senses other than those 5?
Well, they have that sixth sense, intuition. You call it.
Oh.
I think they have a definite intuition, and if a dog has intuition and a cat, then I think humans probably have some intuition as well.
Like they can smell.
Women call it women's intuition.
Well, some animals can sense when a storm is coming, or they can kind of birds. They've proven birds can detect when a storm's coming.
Well, do you think that that sixth sense is a deductive sense? In other words, they're picking it up from elements. The sky darkens just a tiny bit, or they hear some thunder way in the distance, or
yeah, it's like us
they're picking it up.
It's
from
like
other,
us being able to see other bands of light other than the white light. We might have a sixth sense of being able to see things that other people can't see because we have some sort of a gene or something's happened in our brain where we can see other layers of light, and so we see things that a little differently than other people. Same thing happens when you're colorblind. There's a malfunction there. I think animals have their own set of basically like a sight is pretty much.
Well, what about this? What about this thing? This thing called what do they call it? They used to have a TV show about it. The sixth sense of being able to communicate.
ESP, extrasensory perception.
Extrasensory perception. Is there anything to that, you think?
That's what we were talking. The sixth sense.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything to it, or is it just something that
hype? It's just hype.
People can't figure out. So it's like God. Did man create God, or did God create man, or did we just create this hypothesis because we couldn't figure out the real answer, or is there really such a thing? I'll tell you, I read a pretty good hypothesis on this one time, like our sensory perception within our body. You know, the brain sends signals out, and through this chemical and electrical process, it tells the finger to move. You know, it goes all the way to the toes, and that when we process thought, some of these thoughts, they go. Well, if you step on a nail with your foot, it sends a signal to your brain that says, "I just stepped on a nail. Man, did it hurt." What's to say that message doesn't expand beyond the brain?
Huh. Well, I just saw.
And I read something. The guy said these thoughts are out there. Everything you ever say is recorded in the ether, they used to call it. It's recorded out there somewhere, and it's sort of like when you're riding along, turning your radio to try to pick up a channel, and then this is radio broadcast WNBC. You pick it up, and from time to time we pick up these signals if we tune in to the right channel. That our scanner, that we're constantly scanning, and sometimes we pick up something that Abraham Lincoln said or George Washington said.
Well, the brain
is just out there. It's out there for anybody.
The potential of the brain is a whole lot bigger than what we use. We only use a small portion of the potential that our brain has. An illustration of that was this show I was watching about a woman that killed her neighbor, her friend, and then they put her under hypnosis to see if she was telling the truth or whatever, to get her story about her childhood. And the doctor coached her, and under hypnosis he said, "Now when I count to 3, you're not going to feel any pain at all. 1, 2, 3." And the guy standing there watching him said, "Is this for real?" And the doctor said, he took a pin and took her arm and stuck it into her arm, and she didn't flinch, she didn't feel it, didn't feel anything. So the brain can be coached, and it can turn itself off to not feel pain. That sense can be cut off. So I think a lot of what we think is extrasensory stuff is just our brain not being used. Parts of our brain are being used other than what we normally use it.
Well, so you're saying that a lot of this mystical stuff is actually scientific. We just don't understand it.
Right. Yeah.
But there is a science behind it.
Right.
Now, I'll give you a good example. It's like, they have glasses now that are cameras. They can put 2 little cameras in your glasses,
Mm-hmm.
and they can run a wire into your brain,
Mm-hmm.
back to your occipital lobe back here.
Yeah.
And they can put a visual, instead of you seeing it, you get 2 cameras. The cameras are recording it, and through that little wire, it's going back to your occipital. And even though you're blind,
They use that for blind people.
yeah, they have that technology. They can do that. It's probably too expensive for the average person, but they have experimented with that, and they can do that. So then, might you say that we don't see with our eyes? Actually, we see with our brain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The brain sees the
eyes,
image.
The eye is just the lens.
The eye is just the lens.
Yeah.
Of what we see.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, just like with our hearing, we hear things that we don't know we're hearing. Just like our eye sees things that we don't really know we're seeing. It's not paying attention. If you look at something with a camera, like a coach after a football game, he goes back and looks at the film. And he sees, "Leroy, you weren't moving there. I didn't see that before. But now I understand why that guy made that tackle. Is you were out of position. See right over here?" That's what, when we played high school football, we'd look at those old films, and the coach would tell us what we were doing wrong. And so with the camera, you capture that. It just sees what it sees. But with the eye, and that's why I say this stuff, like right now, we have this microphone here that has a wire in it, and it captures the message, moves it over here, and lays it down.
It's like an ear.
It's like an ear. But that message is being recorded in the ether. Everything you and I are saying.
Well, the sound waves aren't being recorded. They're going out there. They're only recording in the sense that the cat sitting over there hears us. It's recorded in her brain. You hear me when I'm talking because the sound waves reach your ear and it goes into your brain, but it's the brain is the recording device. If a tree falls in the woods when there's no one around, does it still make a sound?
Not as far as we know, but who's to know that the science of it? There might be a great big recorder out there somewhere in the system that actually records.
I mean, there's all kind of creatures and animals that hear.
I'm talking about the creatures and animals. I'm talking about a device of some type in the ether that records this, that it can come back to you later.
Play it like a recording?
Like a recorder, a great big recorder out there.
I don't know about that. That sounds
now, it wouldn't be like, for example, let's talk about. I know you don't like to digress, but let's just talk about this spirit thing. When does a spirit walk around with 2 feet? Does he have to? If he's got to go a mile, does he have to actually put 1 foot in front of the other and walk, or do we suppose that a spirit can somehow magically go poof, and he can be gone, right?
Yeah,
because he's not limited to.
The spirit, there's abilities that we can't even imagine.
And we would say those are probably scientific principles behind that, not magic, right? They're probably scientific
science
principles
that we don't know yet.
That we don't know yet, right? And so the same thing might apply to how does a spirit communicate with us? Does a spirit speak English or French or Russian? What language does he speak?
They communicate with their brains.
Communicate with their brains.
So a different level altogether.
How would God communicate with one of his children in Russia or one in America? He just communicates in some higher technology that's a visual.
And he hears it in his own language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what was talking about?
I think that's why missionaries are able to learn foreign languages so quickly and easily, is they are given just a taste of that power of the method of communication transcends what we know and acknowledge as different languages. And we're limited. We're very limited on what we sense, I think.
So if God told Philip gets up there and God says, Philip, I want you to go back down and visit Joe over there in Norway and give him a message. You say, well, I don't speak Norwegian. Never really learned that, but it's simple. It's all the same language.
He'd go over to his, like the Wizard of Oz. He'd tweak it so that I would be able to understand that foreign language.
Yeah, somehow or another. And I don't find that so unbelievable. I mean, it has to be that way. And so when you start thinking about our limitations in our mortal bodies here, we may not be as limited as we think we are. We might be able to employ some of those scientific principles even here.
I think so. I think that's the difference in men's and women's intuition. Women definitely have a higher level of intuition. They can know things, they sense things on a level that men don't generally. But I think men have the ability to, if they would just tap into that portion of.
Do me a favor. Let's don't tell our wives about this discovery, okay?
Now, they ain't no discovery. It's a fact. They do. They have.
I never admit it. I don't admit it.
Well,
if you do, you're a goner, man.
Any wife I've ever had.
You'll never be right again.
They always knew when I was lying.
You'll never be right again if you tell your wife. She already believes that, but if you'll deny it to the grave. that she has intuition and you don't.
How are we looking on time?
Because she'll use that against you every time.
Let me look at my.
She said, I have intuition.
It's marching along here at 29. We're right at 29 minutes.
We're at 29 minutes, okay.
Okay, let's.
Well, yeah, I don't know how well this one is going. I feel like we're all over the place, but.
Yeah, well,
the magic of editing.
That's our new paradigm. That's our new podcasting paradigm. All over the place.
Okay. Yeah, and Philip, if you could just, in your editing skills, if you could like take away my accent and also make my voice a little bit more deeper.
Yeah, I can do that.
Maybe because you make me sound like maybe Henry Fonda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Jimmy Stewart.
We have AI now, you know.
You got it.
Okay, we're out of time.
All right.
This is our discussion about the 5, sometimes 6 senses. That's and right. Tune in for our other episodes on YouTube. the Albritton letters. Signing off. See y'all.
Philip, remember this. If the ladies don't find you handsome, they ought to at least find you